What's up, guys? Classy Metal here. First off, let me just apologize if I look and sound like absolute garbage. I think I've got maybe 6 hours of sleep in the past 3 days, but I said I would get this video done before the end of the year, so I may get this uploaded just in time, so it'll still be up in 2016 for maybe an hour or so, but didn't want to be a liar to you guys, so I'm going to persevere and put this album up for you. When I do these end of the year lists, I just want to get some things out of the way. I only put albums on this end of the year list that I own on a physical format. So perhaps there's been some other releases that I like just as much as these that have come out this year, but maybe they weren't released on physicals, or I just didn't have the opportunity to acquire a copy. So those will be omitted from this list. I also want to remind you that this is my list, and there could be some albums that you thoroughly enjoyed that I didn't like, and that's just the way it is. I'm interested to see some of you guys' opinions on some of the things on my list. Maybe there's some things that you haven't checked out yet, and this will lead you to do that. So, in the comments, definitely, I'm gonna try to speak. Definitely let me know how you feel about this list. I'm just going to jump right into it. I did a top 20 list this year. I didn't do the honorable mentions and stuff like I did on my last year's video. I really just didn't have the time, and I'm super exhausted, but I wanted to get this done for you guys. So, number 20, we have a Polish atmospheric, I guess, a post sludge metal band, and this is Moanaa with Passage. This very strong release. If I had had this channel going in 2014, then you would know that their 2014 release Descent was my favorite album from that year, and it's almost surprising that this fell to number 20 this year. But it really wasn't anything just super groundbreaking or just different. It on Passage. It felt like more of the same, which isn't bad because I thoroughly enjoyed Descent, and Passage is a very enjoyable album as well, obviously, or it wouldn't have made this list. But as I said, it just felt like more of the same. I didn't get too much new ideas out of that release, so that's why it was number 20. Next up, we have an atmospheric black metal band, almost ambient black metal band out of Montana here in the U.S. This is Eneferens with In the Hours Beneath. They also released an EP earlier in the year, which was phenomenal. It could easily take this spot in the list as well. I didn't want to put two releases from the same project on this list, but this is some amazing stuff. I don't know how this. It's a one-man black metal project. I don't understand. I don't know how he does it. To be honest with you, to release two albums that stellar in such a short time frame, but beautiful stuff. Check them out, Eneferens. Next up, we have another atmospheric black metal band. This one's out of Chile, and the name of this band is Lascar, and the name of this release is Absence. Beautiful all around. The atmospheres on this are amazing. The artwork in this release is amazing. It's been such a strong year for atmospheric black metal, to the point where it's almost an oversaturation of the genre. This was pretty much the year for atmospheric black that I was expecting back a few years ago after Caladan Brood released Echoes of Battle. I know that album gained so much popularity and fandom for the atmospheric black metal genre as a whole. I was expecting much more out of the genre then, and just kind of stalled. And it was just, there were so many uh, amazing atmospheric black metal releases this year that there's going to be several more on this list. And so, I mean, there'll be more coming. But 18, this is Alaska with Absence. Fantastic stuff out of Chile. Next up, we have another black metal release. This is from Canada. This is Old Graves with Long Shadows. amazing release. I first heard Suma's, the first track off of this release, and did the pre-order. And that was the only track that I'd heard from it for well over a month before the entire album was released. And Suma's, in my opinion, was my favorite track. I didn't find anything super beyond that after the full album was released. This was another one that didn't quite live up to the predecessor, because this Ruin Beneath Snowfall, the EP, the previous EP, was about as perfect of an album or a release as you can get. And the newest, it just, I mean, it was great, but I didn't just get the same feeling that I got from that previous EP. But still, it was strong enough to finish number 17 on this list. Next up, we're changing gears a little bit. We have some technical deathcore. This is a Fallujah with Dreamless, number 16. A lot of people were turned off from this album, and not really. I'm not really sure why. This is my favorite release from Fallujah thus far in their career as a band. The atmospheres on that are absolutely beautiful. The musicianship is amazing. It's a bit surprising. You don't, a lot of times when you think of a deathcore band, you don't think of such strong musicianship within the band, but definitely a bright spot in the deathcore scene for this year for me. Next up, we have some brutal death metal at number 15. This is a Swine Overlord with Entheogenesis. Definitely my favorite Swine Overlord release from their discography so far. This is as far as brutal death metal goes, this was definitely a breath of fresh air as far as I'm concerned. The dual vocal attack on this is just unrelenting, just a maniacal album. I can't say enough good things about this release. Definitely brutal, maniacal, just mayhem. Check it out. Number 14, we have some more atmospheric black. Surprise, surprise. This is Ashbringer with Eugen. This is a very strong follow-up to their Vacant release that came out either last year or the year before. Can't even really think straight at this point. Beautiful release. Very well could have landed higher on this list. I've redone this list probably about 3 or 4 times over the last several days, and things have moved up or down in this list as a whole. And that's one that easily could be higher up on the list. If you're into atmospheric black metal, you haven't checked that out, then I don't know what rock you've been hiding under, but definitely go do so now. Next up, we have some, I guess it's more black gaze than it is black metal. This is it has black metal elements in this as well. This is a Sorrow Plagues with their self-titled. All I could say on this is check out the song Redemption, the last song on this release. That's all I need to say about this. Easily puts this at number 13 on my list. Also has some sentimental value to me as well, as a very close friend that passed away this year, an online friend. I never had the privilege of meeting him in real life. Was the reason that I had found that release. So definitely that song alone brings back emotions, and has definitely got enough playback throughout my year to land them at number 13 on this list. Number 12, we have a good, I know several of you are probably familiar with Emilio Crespo. He's on YouTube doing these videos as well. This is one of his projects. He does the vocals for this project. This is more atmospheric black. This is probably some of the closest in the vein of Summoning and Caladan Brood that I've heard this year, except for maybe one other release that it's a little bit higher up on this list. But at number 12, we have Sojourner with Empires of Ash. Absolutely phenomenal release. Beautiful. Very, and it's got summoning worship on this, but it's got some definite original ideas in this as well. Very amazing release. Check it out. Do yourself a favor. Next up, we have Carnifex at number 11 with Slow Death. On this release, Carnifex kind of went more of a blackened death metal route. I know that turned some people off, but I enjoyed the new direction of this immensely. Um, Probably my favorite Carnifex release since Hell Chose Me, and I guess I'm kind of one of the odd ones. I know not many people enjoyed Hell Chose Me as much as I did, but up until this release, I believe Hell Chose Me was my favorite. Now, Slow Death and that one are just they're neck and neck for me. So, Carnifex, number 11. Number 10, we have a band out of New York. It's New York or New Jersey. I'm not. I, I can't think straight right now. The label they're on is Nebular Winter, and the band itself, like I said, is either out of New York or New Jersey. But when I ordered the album, I had to wait for it to come from Athens, Greece. I thought that was kind of weird because that's where their label is located. Not a whole lot of people. I haven't heard just too many people talk about this release, and it's a beautiful, more atmospheric black, but it's definitely criminally underrated and hasn't been talked about. But this is a Mavradoxa, I believe it's Mavradoxa with Sojourners. And what can I say about this? I mean, it creates some beautiful atmospheres, haunting atmospheres, and at the same time, it can launch an assault on you in the next minute. I don't think I showed this one in update, so I'll kind of show the disc off for this. But definitely worthwhile release. I'm going to link or at least list all of the albums in the description so you guys can look these up and check them out for yourself. But yeah, at number 10, Mavradoxa with Sojourners. We're going back to some death metal on number 9. This is some Canadian death metal. This is Phobocosm with Bringer of Drought off of Dark Descent Records. Slow, deliberate, evil death metal. Some people would say almost doomy death, but there's no doom. This is a slow, deliberate death metal. It's dirty, it's crunchy, it's phenomenal. So Phobocosm with Bringer of Drought, definitely check that out. Number 8, this one may be a little bit of a surprise. We have Lacuna Coil with Delirium. And I know it surprises people being this high on my list. This received so much spin time for me. It is absolutely ridiculous. I'd gotten to the point where I wasn't even excited about this release when it came out because I haven't been a huge fan of the last several albums that this band has put out. And I didn't have high hopes for this release, and I think that's why it surprised me, and I enjoyed it so much because it was a definite, I almost felt like a return to form almost for me for this band. Still very catchy, still very accessible, but for me, it was a definite nice change of pace for me for the band. So, Lacuna Coil, number 8. Number 7, Fleshgod Apocalypse with King. This is the album from Fleshgod Apocalypse that I had hoped for after their Agony release. Instead, at that time, I got hit with Labyrinth, which was a steaming pile of crap, and I'd almost gave up on the band. And then this came out, and now I'm wholeheartedly back behind the band. Seemed like some of the ideas that they tried to throw together for Labyrinth that kind of fell short were reconjured, I guess, and done phenomenally on this release. Almost a flawless release from Fleshgod Apocalypse, in my opinion, at number 7. Number 6, we have some Russian depressive black metal. This is a Griefrain with WolfCult. I don't know how well you'll be able to make that out on this, but some dark artwork. Griefrain, their previous release, Spring Illusion, is one of my favorite releases ever. I love that release. This is another black metal band that I find to be just criminally underrated. That not nearly enough people know about this band, and they definitely need to open their eyes and check them out. Spring Illusion had much more atmospheric, depressive elements to it. This release, WolfCult, it changed paces. The depressive elements are still there, but it dropped a lot of the atmospheric pretext in the release. There's still some there, but it's gone more of a more occult vibe to this. Very much darker, more evil stuff. The agonizing vocals are still there, and just a frighteningly beautiful, devastating release. So definitely check that one out as well. Out of St. Petersburg, Russia, that's Griefrain with WolfCult. Changing gears, we've got some post metal. I've heard it called black gaze, but I don't really see the black metal elements in this very much at all. It's kind of strange putting this on an extreme music list, as kind of what I feel like this list that I've made is. This is more of just a beautiful album. It's I don't know, the music is absolutely beautiful. This is an Astronoid with Air. This is out of Massachusetts here in the U.S. It's on Blood Music, which is in Helsinki, Finland. This is another one out of the U.S. that's signed to a foreign label. But Astronoid, like I said, it's a post rock, post metal. Has a tiny bit of black gaze element in this. The female vocals that come in on this are beautiful. The atmospheres that it creates are just stunning. So if that sounds like something that you might be into, definitely check that out. You're not going to get anything just too heavy out of that release, though, so be warned with that. Number 4, my favorite death metal release of 2016. This is Vanhelgd with Temple of Phobos. I apologize if I mispronounced that band name on that, but Vanhelgd, I think. This is a Swedish death metal. This is balls to the wall Swedish death metal. I mean, when you think of Swedish death metal, this kind of Vanhelgd carries the torch for that very well. I can't say enough good things about this. I'm almost speechless to this album. And like I said, it's my favorite death metal release of 2016. If you haven't checked that out, you're definitely, if you've slept on that album, you're definitely not doing yourself any favors whatsoever. Definitely stop what you're doing right now and go check that out. Number 3, the top 3. Well, the number 3 and number 2 are pretty much interchangeable. I've bounced them back and forth, and I finally ended up like this. And I'm not even really happy doing this one. It's almost a tie for number 2. So, but at number 3 we have Eldamar with the Force of the Ancient Land. This is another summoning worship type album. Has I don't know how many of you are familiar with Gallowbraid. Has some of those elements to it in it as well. Amazing release. Artwork, beautiful. Excuse me. Um, Everything about this release is just astounding. If you're into atmospheric black metal, you know who Eldamar is. If you don't know, I don't know what you're doing with your life, but you need to go check them out right now. Number 2 is a band out of Romania. This is a band that I'm sure several of you haven't heard yet, or I'm not even sure how I found this band. I'm just going to be honest with you. I stumbled across this earlier in the year, and I thought the album was good at the time, but as the year has gone on, the playtime that this album has just grown and grown and grown to the point where it almost overtook my number 1 album. But at number 2, we have Ashaena with Calea. The band describes their own sound as pagan introspective black metal. What this is, it's black metal. It's almost folky pagan black metal, not goofy folky metal, but the first track on this is just a straight up black metal assault on you. Then you get into some more of the folky passages in this. It almost has some neo folk passages, and then some folk metal and pagan black metal all rolled into just a phenomenal bundle. None of the stuff is in English, so I'm not really sure what the album titles and stuff translate to. But definitely check this one out if you haven't done so. I'm sure this is an album that will be very new to a lot of you. This is Ashaena with Calea. And if you know me at all, then you probably already know what my number 1 album of the year for 2016 is. I've been singing the praises of this album pretty much since this release came out. I enjoyed they've had one previous full length that I enjoyed immensely when it came out as well, and I've sang the praises of this one since it came out. We have Winterlore with their self-titled Winterlore. In my opinion, this is what a black metal album should sound like. It has a small amount of atmospherics to this. It has melodic black metal parts. It has just it's very dark, evil. I mean, it's black metal. The self-titled track to this Winterlore, so Winterlore, a self-titled album, and then a self-titled track, in my opinion, is a perfect black metal song. That's all you have to do. Go check out this Winterlore, and this list is done. So that's all for 2016. I'm ready for 2017. Ready for if 2017 and metal is anywhere as good as 2016 was, we're all going to be in for an amazing treat because there were so many good albums that came out this year. There's so many that I had to leave off this list that it broke my heart. But I thank every one of you for being along on this ride with me, and I will have some stuff coming at you soon in the new year. Stay classy, stay metal, and I promise I'll see you soon.